Isn't that interesting? Well, one would imagine that a DNA change is a painfully slow thing to attempt to monitor unless you're affecting it in some way. So you're suggesting there's an abduction, there's a change made, and then they're monitoring that change with that device.
Right on the nail's head.
Okay.
Now, I want to modify that by saying, all I'm saying is that the situation is so complex that the greatest possibility is that there's a number of things going on at the same time in relation to the field of alien abduction.
Mm-hmm. Well, what you've said does make sense in terms of abduction, implant, monitoring. Just basically what we would do, I guess. And, gee, that kind of brings up another subject. There are many people, Doctor, who say this is all some kind of big cover, and it's our own government, God help us, doing these things to us. And your reaction to that is?
I believe that $63 trillion has been spent on the black budget accumulated total. I believe that, but I also believe that when it said that they may be 100 years ahead of academic technology, I think that could very well be the case too. I think that we may be flying in space somewhere around our solar system, but I don't think we've left it. So we do have some advanced technology. In fact, Senator Gravel in this hearing admitted, in front of the witnesses and all the other people that were there and on streaming video, that we have our own space fleet. Now that was quite a admission coming from government.
It certainly is. I guess he actually said that he believed that was the case. He thinks it could be the case, or what?
That is the case, and
that is the case.
Yeah, if you go into the archive, and I think it's still up on the Citizens Hearing, you can get to the place where he makes that statement.
Wow.
So, do we have the abilities to do these things? I think to a certain extent. But when you take the Phoenix situation and you have people reporting that one wingtip is over one mountain range and the other wingtip is over another mountain range,
right?
I don't think that's from here. And it's my theoretical opinion that the majority of information on ufology has now passed from government, U.S. government, or any of the other government control into the hands of huge, giant corporate world monopolies. These are industries. I think, sometimes I feel sorry for presidents and other leaders of countries because they've lost the control. This country is, our own country is not functioning now as it was set up to be as our forefathers. I'm sure that I don't have to tell you the implications of that. And another thing that our audience might be interested in knowing, and I didn't know it, I learned as much there as maybe they did. But I found out that they told us that these oaths that are taken of secrecy are not oaths to the organization for which the individual works with. In other words, if they were in the NSA or CIA or military intelligence and they took an oath of secrecy, that was not an oath that was given to that particular department, but that was an oath to the Constitution. The Constitution of the United States also has the right of regress, so that every single one of them has the legal right to go before Congress and say, I'm taking it back, I'm taking my word back, and I'm going to tell whoever it is that I want to tell. And there's nothing that can be done about it.
Takes a lot of guts to do that.
Takes a lot of guts. But, look at the people that are now coming forth. lots and lots of military officers that are still around that have, guilty knowledge, and they're talking about it. So they violated.
There's also people who have told things and end up living in Russia because that's the only option they have.
Well, there are people who have told things that aren't living anywhere.
You think we're like animals that are tracked down and tagged?
Well, in looking at the stats involved, I would say that from my experience, that about 15% of abductees wind up with an implant, and you gotta step back, way back.
Hey, Dr. Leir, I'm going to kind of run us down a different avenue. They're collecting data on us with those implants and all that. Do you think they're trying to keep an eye on how bad we're destroying our actual ecosystem throughout the world? Yeah. And that's what the hybrids are set up for, to come in and be the next go around?
Well, in my view, I look at the situation, and if we're dealing with intelligences that are that much older than we are, as I said, I don't think they're altruists that are necessarily here to help the human race. I think that they're here to preserve the integrity of the universe, which we don't really understand. But the things that they're doing, for example, the hybrid program, assuming that that's true, that they are building hybrids, maybe, again, this is just a guess, is all it is, but we can put forth the idea that perhaps if all else fails, they may have a collection of the DNA from everything that's on this earth and plan to establish beings that will take the place of Homo sapien.
I kind of get that feeling. It's just kind of a instinct type feeling,
And Glenn. Glenn, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. Thank you. I saw Dr. Roger Leir at a San Francisco Bay Area UFO conference a few years ago, and I did write down the frequencies that the alien implants transmit. I don't know if you would like me to give that information or not.
I certainly would.
I would, excuse me, Art, I wouldn't want that information on the air, if you don't mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, Doctor?
Yeah, if he sends them to you...
hold it, Doctor. I sensed earlier when we touched on that question that you didn't particularly want to talk about it then, and now I'm sure. And so instead of asking about the specific frequencies, why do you not want it on the air?
Because there are certain implications in these frequencies that to some individuals might cause problems.
Really?
And could I say one more thing?
Okay, caller. Would you mind then sending them to me? I am Art Bell at artbell.com.
No problem. Can I mention one other thing real quickly about our DNA? It might be a quantum antenna, and using scalar waves riding along these frequencies for the aliens or whoever's receiving them. And I do believe that NASA and SETI and other experimental frequencies in that range are in that range that were mentioned by Dr. Leir, without getting into any specific frequencies.
I agree with you 100%, and I can mention that one of the companies involved in scalar research happens to be Qualcomm in San Diego, and they have a full scalar laboratory. So
really,
some of the things you just got through saying are 100% accurate.
I got two quick questions, and I'll list offline. One is, a few years back, I saw a video where they had an implant they were trying to remove from a guy's shoulder or in his neck. And every time they'd get close to it, it would move, like you mentioned earlier. I just wondered if that was you, doctor, that did that, or if you know what happened about that one. And the other one is,
Where did you see that, caller?
I saw that on TV on one of them. It was about aliens or UFOs, one of them specials they had, and they showed the operation. It was, like I said, every time they'd go to try and remove it, you could watch it, and it would move. And I was curious about that.
You actually saw it move.
Yes, sir. It was on TV on one of them UFO specials.
Mm-hmm.
And the other question is, if there is a fleet of spacecraft, do you know what's powering that? Or do you know where the power source comes from? Was it from Roswell or from other aliens? Anything in that area that you might know about?
Thanks for calling. In reference to the object that moved, that probably was my case. I did a case of an airline hostess who had an object in her arm that would move anywhere within the circumference of a 2.5-inch circle. And before the surgery was performed, I could put and this has all been videoed. I have this every time I see it. It makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. But you could put your finger next to it, and after it got to know you, it seems, you could move your finger, and it would follow your finger anywhere in this 2.5-inch circle.
Wow.
When we went to remove it, there was another surgeon and myself. It took 4 hands to trap it, and it wasn't really attached to any undersurface structures, the subcutaneous tissue. Most of them, have to be surgically excised, removed with an instrument. But this one, all we had to do was trap it, and once we trapped it, we just lifted it out. And it was about the size of a very large pea. It was yellow in color, and it had some coarse lines running up either side, and it was bivalved. In other words, it opened from the middle. It would open and close like a clam. No, it was not a clam. It was a bivalve, and it acted like a clam. But we didn't get too far with the analysis because most of these objects are preserved in the serum of the patient or the host. And we put it in this serum, refrigerated it, and within about 7 days it began to dissolve. I still have the serum with the material in it. So as soon as we have enough funds, we're going to go back and do some chemistry on it.
When you get an implant, it's sliced and diced, and everybody gets a little piece that they can experiment with. Is that about right?
That's right, except we have an order that we do it. We first do all the exterior examination. For example, at one time, you may remember that I told you it was covered with a biological membrane, and it resulted in the fact that there was no rejection or inflammation reaction by the body. I think you probably recall that. Now
yes,
we realize that this membrane is not external, but that there is a phase somewhere, for lack of a better term, in which the inorganic material that the implant is made out of becomes biological. And again, this is another baffling thing to academic science. Maybe black budget science can do it, but academic science doesn't know how. Well, the Platinum Children is just the name, as Art mentioned before, for a new human, which I prefer to call Homo noeticus, but they're called Star Children, Millennium Children, and on and on and on.
Many names.
Many names.
Does that have any? Does that have anything to do with perhaps abductees being taken and the ova being taken from the woman and the sperm being taken from the man and those being created and sent back down to us? Or
Yes, I think that's exactly the situation that's going on. They're producing a different kind of human being, which I hope will have a better consciousness so that they're better caretakers of the planet and each other.